So I look, and what do I find on the cameras? One of our coworkers joeing on camera.
Masturbating in the studio.
Yep.
It's like one of the wildest days because, we have video of our coworker joeing.
The Woody Show.
And we're into another new hour here on this Thursday morning. It's pre-Friday. It's March 20th, 2025. Woody, Greg, Menace is right now. Gina Grad.
Yeah.
We got Seabass.
Oh, yeah.
And his girlfriend. A lot of people talking about your girlfriend.
Maybe the future,
Yuki.
folks.
She's hot.
Maybe the future.
Yeah. It's so hot, man. You got Sammy.
Morning.
Morgan's taking your calls, 877-44-WOODY. You can send us a text over to 22987. Today is story day, and so everybody here in the studio has been asked, hey, what's your go-to story? It seems like everybody's got one. Like, if you had to tell, what's your best story, meaning the most interesting? If it's the only story you can tell to people from now for the rest of your life, what story would you go with? I think for mine is the one where I was at the boarding school and they were taking me to a different, my parents had hired that dude to take me to the other intervention program
to
thing.
escort you.
Yeah, exactly. And so this guy picks me up and, we're in handcuffs because, I have one hand in a handcuff, the other one's to the inside of the door.
Oh my God.
And that's protocol for what they do. I was in another one where they had me completely handcuffed behind my back in the back of a car for hours on end.
But let's call it boarding school.
Well, let's call him a good kid, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so
Yeah, that's crazy.
we had to wait a couple days to get into this intervention program, Desert Survival Intervention Program, and so we're going to stay at this hotel in Boise. And we pull up to the front of the hotel. He runs in to go check in. Later on that night, we're in the room just watching TV. This guy was very cool, by the way. He's just doing his job. He wasn't an a-hole or anything. We're watching TV. He's reading the paper or something like that, and this like banging at the door. He's like, "What the?" I go, "Please open up." He's like, "What the?" So he gets up. He starts, "Well, hold on." Now, one of his other tactics to keep kids from running off in the middle of the night on him is he would take those same handcuffs. Somehow he had this thing that he was able to basically handcuff the door closed.
Oh my God.
Right? And so
out of everything.
Yeah. So he goes, "Hold on. I got to get the," and he didn't even get the word handcuff out of his mouth. Handcuff. And the door came off the hinges. Boom. All these cops come rushing in. I'm just in the second bed in there, and they come in. They firemen carry me out of there, take me outside, throw me in a cop car, and we go about a mile down the road where they had a staging area set up.
Damn.
And they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "What the hell's going on?" Meanwhile, the guy, his name was Ivan Pixley. I'll never forget his name. He's big, tall, huge Texan dude, and they have him on the ground, on his stomach, gun to the back of his head. "Don't you move. I got papers from his parents. I've been hired by his parents to bring him." And that's all I heard as I'm being shuttled out of the room.
Wow.
Anyway, it turns out that while he was checking into the hotel, somebody walking by saw a kid handcuffed to the inside of the car and thought I'd been kidnapped.
They did the right thing.
Yeah, so they called the cops. Cops waited till sundown, and then they barred. I guess they had been keeping an eye on us throughout the day.
Oh my God.
See something, say something.
Yeah, we had gone and grabbed dinner and the whole thing.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah. Anyway, that's my crazy story.
That's a pretty crazy
So wait,
story.
you were so bad at one
I had sex with my girlfriend at the school, which is a big no-no, and so they kicked me out.
Oh, no.
Noise.
And they sent me to this desert survival program.
So
It
a
was called
bounty hunter had
Seuss.
to get you.
Yeah, because my parents were gonna fly to Oregon from New Jersey to take me, and yeah, so they
you had a
so
girlfriend.
The school says, "Hey, we have a recommendation for this service who will do this," and they go, "Okay."
Your mom really didn't want you.
Yeah, so many of your stories seem like a gross
Why
overreaction.
would they take you?
I feel like there's a second side of the story we don't get to hear.
There was not a second side of the story. That's how it went. It was a very strict school. If you ever watched those documentaries that are about
No, I believe
the same,
that part of the school. I think what he's implying is the reason that you went to the school.
And,
Yeah, it's-
and
It
kept
says
getting
that-
bounced around.
says
That's
that
what
you-
I'm saying. It's
Oh,
an
I
overreaction.
got bounced around because I got kicked out of school for having sex with a girlfriend. Went to the desert survival thing. Went back to that same school. Had sex with a different girlfriend. Got expelled that time. Wasn't allowed back. So ended up at the school in Alabama.
That is
And
sweet.
I just hung out there. And I told him, "Hey, when I'm 18, I can leave. They can't keep me there anymore." And so my parents, my mom, seeing the end of the road there, said, okay, fine, you can go live with your dad. And I went and lived with my grandfather, actually, in Pittsburgh, graduated high school, started radio within, about a month after getting there? And I've been in radio ever since, and there we go. That's the end of the story. That's literally how it went.
That's insane.
Yeah, because these schools are crazy strict.
And I thought you were going to say one of his tactics from keeping kids from running is like, so I take all their clothes.
No.
So they kick the door in, you're like naked.
Kids would run naked. They would totally do that. Gina, what's your go-to story?
Well, this was probably 10 years ago. I had a girlfriend, a friend in high school that I hadn't talked to in years, but we were really close in high school. She called me out of the blue and asked me to be a bridesmaid in her wedding. And I was like, yeah, sure. Okay. So I flew back to Kansas. And the morning of the wedding, we had to get there early because they're doing like the bridal pictures, whatever. And I had this very delicate bridesmaid dress, like taffeta and lace and whatever. Laid it in the back of my mom's car because I was driving myself. Shout out Toyota Corolla. I'm driving on the highway and there's this girl who's like my age driving very erratically next to me. For whatever reason, she kind of jerks into me and I jerk away. I hit the median going like 60, 65 miles an hour. Flip the car. And while it's flipping, I feel very like calm and quiet, and it feels like it's happening in slow motion. And the car just, flips back to, being on its proper side. This is how you know it's Kansas. Everybody on the highway stops where they are, runs out of their car, and tries to check on me. So they all come. The ambulance comes. I remember saying to the medic two things. I don't have insurance and you're really hot. That's all I remember saying. They took me to the hospital. I see doctors leaning over me. I do not have a scratch on me. No cuts, no bruises, no bleeding, nothing.
And this is the time,
It's a miracle.
airbags? Were there airbags?
Yeah, airbags,
okay,
and I flipped the car.
Okay.
Everything deployed. Get back to my mom's house. She goes to retrieve her car, which looks like a Godzilla stepped on it. It's crushed.
Wow.
It's done. The only thing that is in perfect mint condition is this GD dress. So she brings the dress back. I'm shaken up and I'm sore, but I feel pretty good. So I demand to be driven to the wedding with the dress and use my mom's makeup and her shoes. And I walk down. I'm there for my friend. Kind of stole the show. Felt a little bad because I was a big hero.
Was this the day before or the day of?
The day of.
Oh my God.
So a few hours later, I was like, I actually am fine. I'm a little sore, not a cut, not a scrape. And I remember just feeling like it was all happening in slow motion and I was going to be totally fine. It was crazy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
We are lucky to have you.
I
Yeah,
know.
I'm lucky to be here. Trust
And because
me.
she'll be there. Like, she's like the postal service.
That
Rain,
is
sleet.
dedication.
Right. She'll get there. Car accident.
Yeah.
Greg Gorey, what's your go-to story?
Well, this is tough for me because I've told you guys about the sex tape, the food getting spilled on the airplane, the food
it's
poisoning
just
on the
whatever your
airplane.
best story. It doesn't have to be something we haven't heard.
I think the go-to one, I don't think Gina's heard it,
Please.
has got to be the layers of my Marky Mark obsession. Because it's just so embarrassing in retrospect
Yeah.
that when I was in college, so just mega in the closet, and I found out that Marky Mark was going to be in Playgirl, so I had to get it.
Obviously.
Right? So I had to rehearse.
As a
how-
closeted man still.
Yes.
Sure.
So how I was going to buy this at this local pharmacy drugstore thing, act like I didn't know what Playgirl was. This was after a week of rehearsing, seeing who's working, what time, when is
Doing
it
a stakeout?
when is it the slowest at this store? And then I said I needed to buy a Playboy and something called Playgirl, I think it's called.
What would that be?
Because
I
I had
love
to buy
that.
both,
Yeah.
and then I
Story's
thought,
so great.
okay, now I have the magazine in my possession. I can't just go back to my dorm because my roommates are going to see
Right.
it. So I have to come up with a story. My story was I had to do a term paper comparing and contrasting Playboy with Playgirl.
Wow.
So I had to actually write this fake term paper because I had to keep it real.
Because your
Yeah,
roommates look
for
at your
sure.
term papers.
Yeah.
Exactly. 'Cause, I mean,
always
what
in
was
my
I
stuff.
thinking? Oh, the great lengths I go to get this stupid thing. And then the whole bad punchline of it was I finally get like a minute alone, flip through the damn magazine. He's not even naked.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
And
All that
was
for nothing. He wrote the
weeks of
paper
You
and
planning.
wrote a
Yeah.
real paper.
I rehearsed going to the store.
Oh,
I
my
checked out
God.
who was working.
Don't we have an animated
Pathetic.
podcast for this?
We do.
I believe we do.
I
yeah.
need to
Yep.
see it immediately.
Yeah, it's on our YouTube page, youtube.com/The
It's so
Woody
embarrassing.
Show.
We never
So
asked.
stupid.
What did your paper uncover, Greg?
I think I would.
Is it a 5-paragraph theme?
Yeah.
You know what? I might even have it somewhere.
Oh,
I
sweet.
gotta try to find it.
I mean, did you write it legit, thinking, well, just in case somebody actually reads it?
Oh yeah, 100%.
He would have
Or just
gotten an
typing,
A.
or to say just typing
That
random
would've
words.
ruled.
I
make it
think
look-
I was saying how great
Hell yeah.
Playboy was because they had like a joke section, they had stories, they had good articles, and then
So
Playgirl
funny.
was just cheesy and lame.
Yeah,
and-
women. Huh?
Too hot. Way too hot.
Well, today is story day Got a couple of them that suck stories.
Uh-oh.
A professor who spent 2 decades collecting 200 fossils. They're about 380 million years old.
Wow.
He shipped them to a colleague, but the professor's university didn't pay the shipping bill.
Weak.
So UPS dumped all the packages with the fossils in a landfill.
No.
You just tossed them?
Some random landfill in Tennessee, and they may be lost for another
Oh,
380 million years. I guess there was some communication thing. They said, hey, nobody's paid for the shipping on this, and then nobody acknowledged it. And so after a certain amount of time, when you drop something off at the cleaners or something, they
Yeah.
go, well, after
Yeah.
X number of days,
But
we
you
can.
think
It goes away.
Return to sender, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. But then
weird.
if nobody's paying the shipping.
Yeah.
But see, that's why I would have just paid up front and then got the money back. I would have expensed it from the
Yeah.
university.
Get
or
one of
something.
those signature required things.
Yeah.
Deal with it later.
Then there was another story of this woman in Austin. She hit the lottery last month. She won $83.5 million.
That does not suck.
They haven't paid her, and there's a chance that they won't because she bought the ticket through this courier app. It's owned by DraftKings. And so you pay through the app, and then they send somebody to go buy your ticket for you. But in Texas and other states, I believe California's the same way, you can't buy lottery tickets with or anything but cash.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Like so,
Right.
or
You can't use a credit card.
you can't use a credit card.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what's been going back and forth. They had passed a bill that would have banned them, but the House then didn't pass it, so it just never became law. Governor launches an investigation into all this stuff, and that's why she hasn't been paid. The lottery says they're not going to pay up until the investigation's over, if ever.
If ever.
Jeez.
Yeah. So it's
If I were her, I'd be like, that's a you guys problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Pay me
Uh-huh.
and figure it out later.
If it
Like
was legal
this-
at the time she bought it.
Yeah.
this app was still going.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell
so, dude,
no.
83.5 million just hanging out there.
Damn.
Crazy. That sucks.
I'm sure they're dragged their feet on that investigation.
All right, so today is Story Day, one of the 8 billion made-up stupid holidays, but I told my story, Gina told hers, Greg told his. His is actually an animated podcast. Menace, if you want to put a link to it somewhere like on our
Yeah, I'll
social
put it
media.
on our Instagram story.
It was from a while ago.
At
You got to
Woody
say it's
Show.
so funny. That's one of my favorite
So
stories, Greg, from
mortifying.
anybody ever.
It's cathartic
Just the-
to share it
it's
because it's
the-
so pathetic.
It's the length that you went to, you know?
I know.
Insane.
Yeah.
Dumb.
Menace, what's your best story?
Ooh, so actually, Woody, you and I were kind of talking about it the other day. But I didn't share the full story. We were talking about it with some of our coworkers. So in 2009, it was St. Patrick's Day, and myself and another coworker, Tony, who was on the show at the time, we
Yeah.
were broadcasting from a bar in the morning. And
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, and Tony got so hammered.
Wait, hold on!
Oh.
Don't go ahead. Don't jump ahead.
All right.
So we're all getting super hammered, right? And we're calling back into the radio station, and I was drunk tweeting, and I drunk tweeted Jimmy Fallon to call into the show because that week he started the late night show with Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah.
It was before the Tonight Show, and he decided to call in. So he actually called in to the show, and we talked to him for
Yeah.
like an hour. And I don't even remember talking to him because I'm so wasted. But that was super fun. Now, the part that I left out of the story that I just recently shared with our coworkers is after the show that day, I was friends with all the like suicide girls at the time that were living in San Francisco, like those nude models,
Like
whatever.
pinup girls.
Yeah, pinup girls.
Nice.
And they were messaging me after the show that day, like, "Oh, our photo shoot got messed up, whatever, blah blah." And I said, "Oh, just come over to my place. You guys can use my place, right?" And at the time, I'm living with 2 other females, and all these girls come over and they get completely naked and they're like doing a photo shoot in my apartment, and myself and my roommates, we're just getting drunk and laughing and listening to music while all these girls are naked. And after we're done shooting, they're like, "Oh, let's go on a hike." So everyone thought it was a great idea. Again, we're freaking hammered to go hiking right by the Golden Gate Bridge. So we're in like the woods of the
Right.
Golden Gate Bridge. And I'm like blacking out drunk. And next thing I know, I'm just like kind of eating sushi and doing sake bombs, right? Amazingly, I wake up to go to work the next day. Now, here's the other part of that story. Remember when I was with Tony?
Yes.
He gets hammered. Apparently, he went back to the radio station and he turned on all of our cameras that were in the studio.
Yep.
At the time, we did live streams. Forgot to turn off the cameras,
Yeah.
right?
No.
So when I get to work the next day, we're looking at all the text messages. hey, look at your guys' cameras because it archived all the cameras. We
Right.
clipped it for you. Look at the cameras. So I look, and what do I find on the cameras? One of our coworkers joeing on camera.
Masturbating in the studio.
Yep.
It's like one of the wildest days because
Yeah.
you know we have video of our coworker joeing.
Yeah, and he impregnated the studio trash can.
Right.
So he blew it right into the trash can. By the way, and this was like now we have our own studio. Nobody uses this studio besides us. This is
Yeah.
our own studio.
Yeah.
However, at that time, it was the same studio that everybody used.
Oh my
and so
God.
he had his like jizz hands on the mouse and on all the controls and all the stuff.
Yeah.
And not to mention now like the trash can was gonna give birth to little baby tampon trash cans.
And he was playing with his nipple.
Oh yeah, he was tweaking his nipple.
Stop.
And you saw
it
the
was
whole
like
thing.
Back
It's
and
like
forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
It was so weird.
it was very weird.
You also
Yeah.
got Tony on video falling out of his chair.
Yeah,
That's
that was
true.
pretty fun, but
That's
that
true.
wasn't like the super highlight of it.
My
but what's even
God.
worse is like I was so hungover that I didn't even leave my office that day. So then I had to see that guy who was joeing later that day walking to the boss's office to like get let go.
Why? Did he do something wrong?
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing: like somebody had texted, people were texting, then people called. Of course, we're talking about it. Now we're watching the video while we're on the air.
Yeah.
and I guess everybody heard
That's
about it. I mean,
insane.
if
yeah.
it wasn't public, I would have been like, dude, you know.
but here's the thing: you're in the studio where everybody uses
Yeah,
it.
it
We were disgusted.
It was out there.
Yeah.
It was out there.
Now, did we
Like,
just
I
have
didn't-
somebody in our studio with a pipe in their ass, putting a beer up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
yeah, but that was
was
clean, fun content.
Yeah, duh.
in the
And
privacy of our own
tradition.
studio.
Exactly.
Yeah. Seabass, what's your best story?
Well, you guys have been witness to it. It unfolded here on the air with the whole finding out I have kids. That's the one story I tell that people always ask, tell me more. And for folks who are new, I donated
Sold.
Generously.
the stuff that went in the trash can a minute ago to
Sold.
needy and wanting families out there who wanted to conceive.
Yeah.
Lesbian.
And thanks to
That was his way of making money when he was in college.
and afterwards in radio. On
And
account
afterwards,
on
yeah.
account of radio doesn't pay anything. So that, and I kind of forgot about it. Well, in the time that I forgot about it, and in the time that I've worked for this show, the whole 23andMe, Ancestry.com came about, and so therefore, what should have been an anonymous donation for at least 18 years turned into a very
Public.
public donation to the point that I've now met several of those children, and so that's why the story goes off in 1,000 different directions about how I got it. How I found out about it, how my mom found out about it and told me about it, because she had no idea.
Yeah.
So now she's got like a Facebook page, right?
Well, they do.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
do.
they do. It's
yeah.
kind of dedicated to the children of
you.
Seabass.
Oh, speaking of which, yes, I talked to her earlier this week. She's planning a trip to go visit some of them in Quebec.
Your mom is?
Yes.
So she refers to some of these kids as her grandkids.
She calls them either genetic grandkids. I forget what. There's a
Adjacent
biological.
There's a modern term for it.
Yeah, there's a term like
Wow.
you don't say kids or grandkids. It's like genetic or like my genetic half brother or biological half
And I always
brother.
forget you're up to how many?
23 plus.
23. Oh, so it
Nice.
is 23 and me.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying
Popular.
let's pitch the reality show.
See, I people have asked about that, and the problem is like I think you need me to be a likable, caring character.
Uh-huh.
Not that I don't care about these children, I do, but I'm not like
You've traveled to see them.
yeah, absolutely. But I'm not like a
You've
wonderful.
gone to
like-
sports games.
You need for this to
Oh,
be
yeah.
interesting. You need
have
this to be like
a
me,
loving
like
father. Want a connection.
right, like oh my god, I never.
You can fake it. We've seen you do it 100 times.
Exactly right.
See, that's not the kind of
For the
faking
camera.
that I find interesting.
Seabass, I gotta say,
Yeah.
that is one of the most self-aware things I've ever heard from a
exactly.
person.
You need like a
That's not me.
you need a Forrest Gump style guy.
Right.
Like, well, I guess.
Well, then do
Oh,
like
shucks.
23andMe on the spectrum or something.
well, so far they seem to be pretty normal because the ones I met at least are just
Yeah.
average Joes and
Yeah.
Jills.
Just call the show "My Daddy's Got Asperger's."
Yeah. How about
So
that?
that's easily the most interesting thing that I ever told
Yeah.
people. Oh yeah,
That's
I used to
incredible.
donate, and then now I have kids.
Yeah. I mean, I thought one of the first when I first met Seabass and heard these stories, I'm like, I thought one of the best stories was just the fact that instead of doing other things for money, in college, like some people get like a college job,
Part-time job,
he would just
yeah.
go down to the sperm bank,
Crank it out.
dump one off there, and they'd pay him. And then wasn't it that you found out, or somebody told you, or somehow hey, well, if you test into Mensa, they'll give you more. If you test over a certain.
It wasn't Mensa. It was if you get more, if you allow them to find you later. But that was supposed to be when they turn 18.
I thought it more for like Genius Juice.
Yeah,
or
did you
something.
have to genius juice?
That's one of the things that gets you through the door. Like, because every Joe out there wants to be like, oh, wait, I get paid for that? Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Do that anyway.
Yeah, it was $65 for Anonymous, $100 for, and this was before inflation.
Sure.
$100 for full info.
Yeah. Sammy, what's your best story?
When I was in first grade, it was somebody's birthday, and I really wanted one of the cupcakes. Someone had brought in cupcakes for their birthday, and they were waiting. And I had to go to the bathroom. And I didn't want to ask to go to the bathroom because I thought I wasn't going to get a cupcake if I went to the bathroom. And it was the funfetti, the good ones, like homemade. Sometimes people brought them in, and you were like, I don't
store-bought
even.
ones.
Yeah, yuck. And so I was holding it the whole time. Because
No,
I
for
was,
sure.
because I was for some reason convinced that right when I went to the bathroom was when they were going to hand out the cupcakes, and I wasn't going to get one, and there wasn't going to be enough. So I stayed in class when I had to go to the bathroom, and I pooped my pants. And so now I'm sitting there in class, and I had pooped my pants, and our desks were like in fours, right? So you have someone next to you and two people across from you, kind of is how we were all situated. And it starts to smell. And now all the kids are like, do you smell that? Who farted? Okay, so at least my brain's like, oh, what a relief. They think someone farted. They're not even jumping to who pooped their pants. And so everyone's talking about it, and then it's story time, and everybody has to get up to go sit on, the carpet or whatever. And I know that I cannot get up. So I sat in my seat. And I called my best friend over, and I was like, go get the teacher. So the teacher came over, and I told her that I pooed my pants. So she just sent me out the door to the nurse's office. And I just tried to scoot out the door while everyone was doing story time. And the nurse, this was a Thursday, which my dad had Thursdays off. So this was not his realm, but my mom would go run errands. So the school calls my house, and it's my dad. And the nurse is like, hey, Sammy had an accident. Can you come pick her up? So my dad's like, all right,
not
sure.
even bring new pants?
Wow.
Yeah.
No,
You
because
get
I
to
think it was
leave?
kind of closer
Oh.
to the end of the day. There was
was gonna
not
say, I
that
would've
much
done
time
that.
It was
left.
a real mess.
I would
Yeah.
crap my pants
Yeah.
on purpose just to get out of school.
Oh.
Get this crapper out of here.
Yeah.
So my dad comes to pick me up, and he's like, all right, let's go. And we're walking out to the car. And then he looks at me and goes, Jesus Christ, you pooped your pants? I thought you just peed. And he was like, you're not sitting in the seat in my car. So when I got in the car, I was in
The
the
trunk?
passenger
Okay.
seat. No, I was in on the passenger side front seat.
Like in
but
the wheel well?
He pushed the whole seat back, and I had to squat the whole way home. So I was squatting in the passenger seat of the car while he drove me home.
And
With the windows down?
and no cupcake.
And no cupcake.
That's the
Wow.
biggest tragedy.
Wow.
And did
That's
the
a good one.
kids figure out at school that you crapped your
Yeah,
pants?
they were
I
the
don't
crap-
know, but nobody said anything
Oh,
to me
wow.
after. But my
Oh, they
best
would've-
friend was
Yeah.
the best. Like
Yeah.
she knew everything, and she kept her mouth shut. And
Oh,
so
wow.
Okay.
She would have defended me
She's
if
a
anyone
real
said
one.
anything. Yeah, she was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So
too.
in
Miss her.
freshman year in high school, you weren't still called like Sammy Poopy Pants.
Well, I had moved by then, but no, I was
Okay.
never called poopy pants at all.
Yeah,
ever.
you lucked out
Not even the
because-
next
Yeah.
day
I-
or anything.
I remember first grade, some girl crapped in like the hallway, and like people still talked about
Yeah.
it 18 years later.
Oh, dude, there was a kid at one of my kids' schools that just got busted joeing in the bathroom,
Oh, no.
and
that's
everybody
it.
knows about it.
Yeah.
It's over.
Yeah.
You got to switch
Game
schools.
over, dude.
Yeah, I
You do that during school?
Yeah, I forget.
Yeah.
He's got a nickname. I forget what it is. My son told me, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's already
Oh.
been renamed.
Wanky.
Of
You,
course.
Like, dude, can you imagine?
You change schools, man. It's over. It's over.
Sammy,
You
you're
get a new
disgusting.
identity.
Yeah, you're
I know.
gross.
You
I just
are an
wanted
animal.
a cupcake.
Yeah.
It was funfetti.
Following up on best stories. What's your go-to? What's your best story? On the text 225 saying, this is Tess from New Orleans. Delivered my best friend's baby in the backseat of her car.
Oh,
Damn.
that's traumatizing.
Caught the baby in my shirt, tied his umbilical cord off with my shoelace.
Ew.
When 911 got there, I was standing in my bra and slacks, no shoes on.
That's crazy.
Yeah. This one says, let's see, 714. I was in Hawaii surfing. Oh my God. I was in Hawaii surfing.
Right.
Lightning struck the water and I got zapped.
Oh, God.
The salt water is more conductive. I survived though. Well, no
All
kidding.
right.
You're
Good for
texting.
you,
What?
But
Yeah, I
that's a
didn't
good story.
die.
Yeah. Let's see. 817 texting in. My best story. A girl at work accused me of sexual harassment, so HR sat me down to explain myself. The girl forgot that she had called me the week before and left me a dirty message.
Ooh, no.
HR fired the girl.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Good. Bitch.
Yeah, liar.
I hate those stories so much.
Well, and that's
when
why.
people make up stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's
I hate it.
that's why it would never occur to me to like do that to anyone because what do you know better than anyone? And so does Greg. You look at some of my text messages. You let me know if
Right.
I
those are
know.
even remotely appropriate.
Yeah.
I was so offended.
Yeah, were ya? Just look at this photo you just sent us.
Exactly.
877-44-WOODY. Happy story day, everybody. Text us if you'd like to text us. 22987 is the number to do that.